What is up, everybody out there? Welcome to the NordCon paid stream. Sorry that got started a little bit late. Austin traffic, man. You never know what it's going to do. Hope everybody's having an awesome time out there. Who else do we have in the room with us?
We got Hunter still here.
We got Hunter. Hunter's still here. How's it going, Hunter?
Game you missed a bit while you were actually competing in Car Wars. Me and Jimmy were playing a game.
Cool.
I drove a little too aggressively, so...
Did you flip? Did you flip?
No, but I did ram off all of my front armor and only got an opposite armor shot in to show for it. So
Yeah,
that was kind of
ramming is risky.
the moment that kind of lost it for me there.
It's a good game, though. It's still solid.
But this is Jimmy, by the way, if I didn't identify myself. I'm off camera here.
Also, Brandon, the strong silent type, back behind the thing, flipping all the dials, making everything work.
Yep, I'm here.
So we have what did we decide this car was called the last time?
Blue Dice?
Well, I mean it's really like the octopus car because this isn't exactly Lord Cthulhu. I guess I need to work on that. But I think this is fusion,
I think
right?
that's correct. I think that it's
I always want to call this one Pure Energy, but Pure Energy is a different one. It is definitely not
Pure
this
Energy is
one.
more round, isn't it?
Pure Energy looks more like a modern car, like a 2021 car. And this one is kind of, it's a little bit, I mean, I guess it also looks a little bit like a monitor. So we got this one where maybe I can try to finish some of the freehand on Cthulhu because we're going to try to make this the Cthulhu mobile. I've got Stiletto, who maybe we can start working on some of the guns for. And I have these other two. These are more like fast cars, fast paint cars.
They're also fast.
This one, yes. Well, I mean, it depends on, what speed you set them at, right? What kind of upgrades you give them. This is Brimstone. I did a salt weathering thing with Brimstone a long time ago, so you can kind of see all these little chunks of rust missing. So we can always go back to Brimstone. I was thinking of maybe getting some copper, going over these tubes.
That'll be a fun stream. We'll do a weathering stream.
And then we have Butcher, who really just needs tires and maybe some other work, maybe some colors on the missiles.
You did a lot of dry brushing on Brimstone.
Yeah, with metal. He could probably use some more metal dry brushing maybe to really make it pop. Or you can also just go over the edge highlightings even after you've done some dry brushing just to get it a little bit more definition.
What speed do you bid?
What is speaking? Stiletto right now. I think I'm going to wash some of the guns. And that's one of those things I should have done last time because even after an hour that might not still be ready to go back to. But a few streams ago I did all the guns with P3 underbelly blue, so it's a really pale blue. And now I'm going to use some P3 armor wash to just get in there. And that's going to be like some nice quick edge or lining to get all those recesses filled in, get them dark real quick.
Armor Wash is one of their probably most notable products, I think.
Yeah, it's I find if you want something, I didn't throw it, Hunter. Don't say anything. I know what you're thinking. Hunter's he's about to make a Ben throwing cars joke, but that's not what happened, Hunter.
Okay.
It just fell off the stick.
It fell.
It
Yeah.
fell.
It
Laterally.
Lean in.
everyone
Fell
saw it.
laterally.
It was literally captured on camera. We all saw it. Anyway, yeah, it's armor wash. If you want something to just add like a black shading to really get in the recesses and pick out little creases and stuff, P3 armor wash works really well.
Similar to something like Nolan Oil.
Yeah.
Can you lean forward a little bit?
Oh,
Just a bit.
no problem. I would say the difference between this and Nolan Oil is it makes things less dark overall and is a little bit better about sticking to the recesses. It's a little bit more like the glossy Nolan Oil
Well, yeah,
in that
I've seen a lot of
respect.
people use that glossy Nolan Oil.
Yeah,
I've tried it yet.
it works really well. You just, if you don't want a glossy finish, you
What's
have
it called?
to.
Glossy Nolan. It's Nolan Oil, but it says specifically it's called glossy.
It's just,
It's also from Citadel.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
also-
and I've never used it either because I'm familiar with armor wash. I've always just used armor wash, but both of them dry a little bit more glossy than your typical Citadel color shades. And so I think, I don't know, it must have something to do with like the binder or something. I'm not, a paint chemist, but clearly there's something.
No, you're not. You're fine.
What are you good for, Ben?
I'm good for painting and also laying out the fantasy trip stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Tons
Okay.
of it.
You're hiring.
And making the double drum playmat, which
That's
is on
true.
Indiegogo right now.
Yeah, that thing painting's it's a lot of people are reacting to it. By the way, great job on that.
Thank you.
And that project went live and it's going. We had a bunch of people commenting that they're going to be backing it right now, or have backed it during the stream.
And
So,
that is a big playmat
it's huge.
too.
We're playing on it tomorrow.
That is a full-size table.
That's
Yeah,
why
I'm
we got
glad
this
somebody
giant
managed to
full-size
get it
table.
printed out.
Yeah, man. I'll have to try that. The reason I've avoided the glossy Nuln oil in the past is simply because I think like you, I use matte varnish at the end generally,
Yeah.
and I didn't know if there was a point to it if I was gonna make it matte at the end anyway.
Well, just the point is that it, like I was saying, it behaves a little bit differently.
Yeah, I did not actually behave differently, so that's actually kind of cool.
Did
like
I
that.
bring black paint? I mean, we can live without it. There it is.
Yeah,
This is actually super dark purple, but nobody will be able to tell the difference.
it's also a red car, and that's a pretty good color for that.
Yeah, but I just realized I didn't quite get all the tire stuff done. So we got to get in there, get those tires, get some of that taken care of. Yeah, and I hope everybody else out there, your car painting is going well. Maybe for one of the next ones, I should do a yellow one because yellow can be so tricky.
Sorry about that, guys. My mic got toggled off. You're
Oh.
probably hearing me from Ben's mic.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, as long as they were hearing you, they'd still think that I'm like going a little crazy.
No, you're just talking to yourself.
no one. Yeah, just talking to thin air. It's one of those things that happens. Miniature painting is just such a stressful career that a lot of us just go crazy.
Well, yeah, you have
I'm kidding, obviously.
no, but
It's like a pretty rad thing to do.
I mean, you do have the added challenge. You've got, I mean, you have, I think, what would be now considered one of the classic mini painter conundrums. You got a kid now, so like painting becomes a little bit more of a chore.
Yeah, I've still gotten some done.
That's
Actually,
good. I was
yeah.
going to ask you about that. I was kind of curious if it was like, because I know with
Well, he's still a newborn, right? So he has his sleep schedule is flipped. So he is really quiet during the day, which means I can get work done on whatever. But then it's the nighttime when he's a lot more awake, and he still sleeps a lot, but he's just a lot fussier at night and cries a lot more. But because he's still so young, he's sleeping a lot, and it's actually not. It's nowhere near as hard to get to paint stuff
oh, that's cool.
as I had thought it would be.
Can we get a glam cam shot? Jimmy needed to adjust.
Throw one of your in progress ones over on the
All right,
side
this is,
over here so we can see the current status of that.
That's the pure energy from the last session where I was working on a little Cthulhu.
I wanted to throw that on there. Yeah, that's because I've had a few over the course of the past year, so I've had a few friends and
few
like
kids?
hobby friends. Actually, no, I was gonna say, I understand that a lot of people are spending a lot of time at home. I get it, but it turns out everyone's having kids. I had a lot of friends I did hobby hangouts with, things like that. Have kids, and they're all kind of back to a schedule, but for a little while they were like unable to. They couldn't hang out or anything like that, which makes sense, obviously. But they also just didn't paint like at all, really. So I was curious how that worked because
Well, can
I know
see
it's
how
different
it
for
would,
different
like,
people.
It would like drain the energy out of you.
Yeah, that's what it
because
feels like.
Because when you're not getting as much sleep at night as you're used to,
See, I'm ready for it.
it's hard to get those creative energies and
Or
like,
further forward, Ben.
like there are some things about painting that you don't really think about, and one of them is just like it can be tiring just to focus on one little thing for so long, and so if you're not as well rested as you're used to being, that's something else that can be a problem more than just the lack of time in general. Like you might have the time, but you're just too tired to use it as well as you're used to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I'm glad you're getting a chance to paint still.
Yep.
And now that your sleep
And of
schedule's
course,
screwed up,
it'll be a few years before we'll see if he's going to have any interest in that.
I mean, you got to start him early. You should. I mean, you got what? So he's at least a few weeks old now.
I mean,
It's like if he can't quite hold a brush in his hand, you got to get in his mouth.
get him mouth. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I've seen.
I mean, Ben, you have so much paint around your house. You're pretty much gonna find him in it with it all over the furniture at some point, aren't you?
I've
Yeah.
seen. Listen, man, I've seen elephants holding paintbrushes in their trunk. Kid can hold it in their mouth. Think we're accomplishing.
They don't
the same
start
thing
that way
here.
though. They start with handprints on things.
I mean, if you think small, Jimmy, you'll get small results. What I'm saying is, we're thinking big here with. I mean, you've seen how Ben paints.
Yeah.
You think that kid? He probably just inherited right off the bat. Like I'm just saying, the talent.
Just gonna pick up an airbrush.
Just pick up. Yeah, start with airbrushing. Skip traditional brushing, Ben. We're skipping straight to airbrush. As a matter of fact, when if we do a weathering stream, can I just get your kid here?
Just
Like,
splatter paint
what's
everything.
your chipping medium? Start
He'll
smashing the
either be
car on the
sleeping
table.
He'll either be sleeping or screaming.
Well, hey, now that your sleep schedule's all messed up, we can do hobby hangouts late at night when I'm actually painting. There you go.
What time of night do you usually do these things?
Well, Ben, it depends on what my you see. I sleep like
I know, because you have a completely unfathomable sleep schedule to me, because you'll like send me some message about, like, so who knows what at like 3:30 in the morning,
Yeah. So I have the
and then I'll be like, well, Hunter's probably asleep right now, but I need to ask him something at like 8:30, and like you're still awake, like you're still answering.
no, I'm not up at 8:30. That's the
Sometimes
one time I'm
sometimes
asleep.
you
Actually,
are, though. Sometimes
almost.
you are.
Well, you know what? You're right. Actually, lately it's been like that.
Yeah.
I took another role, so I've been sleeping a little bit less in general because I still do my old stuff at night, but I have like more stuff to do during the day. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll be up at 8:30 or 9. Well, I'm usually up at 9 anyway, but like I'll be online. I usually try to avoid being online before 9 o'clock just to, have a barrier there. But now I've just been like, well, 8:30.
I was gonna say have coffee.
Yeah. No, I don't drink coffee. That's the okay. So that's the
drink
craziest
coffee,
part
man.
is I do stay. So I'm like the inverse of.
I don't know how people live without coffee. It's very peculiar to me.
I'm the inverse of Phil because Phil is he goes to sleep really early and wakes up super early. So he's up at like 4 in the morning. Frequently, very frequently, Phil will send me something around or I'll get an email from Phil and
It's
I'll
like
just
at the
respond to it
cusp.
immediately because he just woke up and I'm still awake.
Yeah.
It just crosses over.
At around like 4 a.m. or something.
Yeah. I'm just up, man. It's not that I'm like up in a zombie. It's just like I'm up. I was telling.
That used to be a lot closer to my schedule, but fortunately, the older I've been getting, just my sleep schedule's been normalizing a lot more.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah, no, it's pretty well until you have a kid. But yeah,
it's better to have like a normal sleep schedule. Like, it just because, for better or worse, that's when life happens, man. You can't go to your game store and play games
Sure.
or do whatever at like 3 in the morning.
That's why I just don't sleep.
Well,
That's-
you could.
I mean, you need a set of lockpicks, but
Not other people might not be there.
Yeah.
Hey, to be fair, we've actually gotten a few games in recently, so I'm pretty like we've been playing. And plus, I mean, I made it. It's fine. I stayed up pretty late last night making a Lego set, and then came into work. So
Which Lego set is that?
the
'Cause
new
it's
Home
really funny.
Alone Lego
Yep.
set.
I don't. Maybe you've already mentioned it a couple times.
No, I
today,
haven't.
But that cracks me up.
Yeah, dude, Lego set.
I can't believe you're building a whole Lego house just so that you can have some kid be terrorized by burglars.
Yeah, it's awesome. It has all the little traps and stuff like that.
It's so odd. That's such an odd series in general. Just to think that like
I love Home Alone.
that 30 years ago or so we were totally cool with just like hardcore violence
Yeah,
against these guys.
my fiance doesn't actually like
it's
watching that
painful.
movie.
I didn't as a kid, man. Like I could feel the pain of those idiot burglars.
I love it.
Like it's not about like I'm not feeling sorry for them because they're painted to be such horrible monsters, but like seeing that nail go in the foot.
Oh
I
yeah,
could just
he
never
got it the
deal.
worst. The nail in the foot. Actually, that came up while I was building it with a friend.
And they get abused even more in
yeah.
the second one, don't they?
That's where. So that's
the
exactly
one
how
I
that
really
went.
don't remember.
It was me and a friend of mine building the set at the same time, and we were on Discord, and I was streaming, and we were simultaneously watching both Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. So I watched them both last night. And one of them gets it worse because he gets the nail through through the foot and all that, and we both called that out as the worst. And then in the second one, they just amped up the violence.
They do,
like
yeah. I remember
tenfold.
they do things that are like much more
Like,
excruciating.
we could
to
do an iron to the forehead, or we could do a series of 6 bricks to the head coming from the top of an apartment building in New York.
Was the nail gun in the first one or the second one?
The staple gun was in the first one.
Okay. I swear there was a nail gun where they're like getting nailed to something or.
No, it's
Is it
staple.
different?
Same thing, same concept, but it was a staple gun because he gets stapled in the. What was that? The first or second one? I just watched them last
there
night. I
nail-
honestly can't
it's been
remember.
a long time.
Is there a nail gun in Car Wars? There should be.
Ooh,
I mean, there's no real point for it. But
I mean,
like,
the machine
that's
gun's
never.
better.
That's not why you
Yeah,
put.
it's also true.
Right, it is, but that's not why you necessarily put weapons in games. Like nobody
Also true.
puts a nail gun or things like that in video games because, it's a better weapon than a machine gun. It's just because it's rad
Yeah.
somehow.
I had a paint grenade.
There's
And I
just
didn't
something
use
fun
it. But...
and rad.
See, I
about
was actually worried you
thought
were
of-
going to use the paint grenade. Because if you'd, I was keeping that one side to you.
Well, you better
If
not
you got
ruin the
close and
paint
paint grenaded
jobs.
me, it would have imposed pretty big penalties for me trying to fire out of that side.
True. I thought about it, but it always felt like the fire was better. And in the end, so the thing that killed him in the end bin is he was on fire for about 5 turns.
Because I didn't have enough
He
control to put the
physically
fire
couldn't
out.
put it out.
Yeah, I didn't. Was not starting with enough control to put it out.
Fire is pretty strong if you can get it all over the place. Just because you can't, once you're on fire, there's no dodging it, right?
Yep.
You can't bust out those ace tokens for rerolls when there's fire.
Or if you choose not to put it out for 1 turn, and then for the rest of the game, you literally can't put it out. Jimmy.
I mean, if I'd slowed down and let you get close to me, I could have put it out. But I think that was probably a worse option. Because then you could just reapply it.
So I'm doing a little bit of yellow on these rockets right now, and so I just wanted to point that out.
Ooh,
This
yeah.
is always my go-to for anything yellow. Citadel's Averland Sunset. It's a
Yeah, I
very
love that
warm,
color.
ochery yellow, and it's the best base because it will cover up any other color. I don't know. I almost feel like we talked about this before, but maybe not. And besides, there are probably other people attending. One of the big mistakes people make is, yellow is so often transparent. It doesn't really coat. So people will just put coats and coats and coats and coats on top of each other. And what's weird is as you do that, even with a good yellow, sometimes you'll start to get a green appearance. And the reason why is because there is so much more binder than pigment that it's actually translucent. And what you're seeing with that green is actually weirdly like a shadow within like a semi-clear surface of paint. And that's why sometimes you can get green. And that's why this stuff is so helpful because this is very opaque. It's not translucent, so it just covers up, and then you can put a little bit of regular yellow on top, so you have a cleaner kind of like canary yellow versus this ochre, and it always does the job really well.
I really like that ochre color, though. It looks really nice.
Yeah, and it's also just a good color. The other thing that I use it for is if I'm doing non-metallic metal gold, it's just like a great, if you mix a little bit of, I probably mentioned it before because it's a color I'm so fond of. It's Bloodstone, P3's Bloodstone. It makes a really brilliant, beautiful non-metallic metal gold. And I mean, non-metallic metal gold is one of those things you could spend hours on it, just talking about all the different ways you can do it because it's a reflective metal, but it's also yellow, so it has all these other weird special considerations. So I'm not going to go any more into it than that. But if you want to if you're trying with non-metallic metals and you want an easy gold, Averland Sunset, Bloodstone, and white, or an off-white, like a linen white, or P3's Menoth white highlight. It's a great way to get a non-metallic metal gold color.
Every time you do one of these, I'm like, okay, that's a stream. That's a stream. So I would love to do a weathering stream. I think doing a non-metallic metal stream would be really interesting too, just because there's so much potential for non-metallic metals in Car Wars.
Yeah.
And that would be pretty neat to talk about, I think, and just do like a very focused tour. Because what we've been doing right now recently, and we'll probably keep doing it because we have a lot of cars we still just kind of want to finish and paint, is kind of painting through, like these all were started with fairly basic techniques and kind of some a little more advanced, some a little more basic, and then probably carry these through until they're finished. And then probably do some more specific, or somewhere in the middle when we actually have more cars available to paint, do some more specific stuff like a non-metallic metal car or, a weathered car. Because I'd love to see some weathering techniques personally. And products, like different products.
Right, and I have always had kind of an eye on like the weathering pigments and stuff. I've just never used it because I've always been able to get similar effects with paint. But like when you see people, when I'm like scrolling through Instagram and like I see somebody I follow just like doing, and like they can get results so quickly, just kind of slapping
it's really
these little
cool.
pigments around. It's like, I gotta try that. That looks so easy and it looks so good.
That's the thing. When I first heard about it and kind of heard of the concept, I was like, that just doesn't sound much easier than doing like a sponging or something like that, or some kind of a you know, a weathered dry brush kind of thing. And then I saw people doing it, and I was just like, that looks so easy and
Yeah.
so good. It looks great.
It's kind of just magic. Like I've seen people that like all they really do, they'll like just like smear some paste on their bases, and once it's dry, go at it with that like rusty oxide and
Just do it. Just do one of those AK.
And for some reason, it just looks so
pigments.
magically good. I don't know why.
It looks
like
great.
what it is about it.
I think the
So successful.
it's interesting to me because the pigment thing kind of comes from the modeling community versus the miniature community.
Yeah.
And it feels like a lot of that modeling community stuff has been leaking over in the past like 5 years or so. Because the using enamel washes now is a really popular thing. Things like that. Things that are more like.
What's funny is I've heard people talk about those things for almost as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And how they'd be useful. But when you never go to a game store and see somebody with
Actually,
an army painted that has
yes.
any of that. It's just never there.
It's never there,
It's
but
really unusual.
I think what it is.
Sometimes you see it online, but you never see it in person.
I see it online a ton. I think that's the difference actually, and why because when we talk about stuff, me and you have come, and Jimmy and a lot of people in this room, we came from a time in painting where DVDs were how you learned how to paint, kind of. You know, that's the only place that you're like the internet wasn't really sharing stuff. And you mentioned it before. You know, you see people on Instagram, and bam, you want to do something. You know.
DVDs. I had the Citadel How to Paint guide.
There you
That
go.
was it, man.
I had that
8
book.
pages
That
or something.
that
I did have
that
that
blue
book.
book that had like the how to paint in white on the top, and it had like 8 different pictures on the front, and then the center had that round picture of whatever. I think it was like a chaos.
Then
guy in the
every
middle.
month they would do White Dwarf, and you just look through heavy metal and try and figure out what was going on.
We had that, and then like right after they actually had some like the only time I knew about painters, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I was like, oh, who you'd see like in White Dwarf, there's a Golden Demon Wind painter, but the only time I'd learn like it's like how to paint like this guy, and they'd put out like a 4 DVD series kind of thing, and I'd see those in stores. But like now you can see there's so many guides online, but also like you said, you went on Instagram, you see the pigment powders, and it's like, wow, that looks great.
Yeah.
That's why that stuff's so popular now. Is because people actually have a way to instantly get results and then like post them, and it's so much easier to like show people what you've done at home.
Yeah, I don't know about those guys that paint live on the internet.
I only trust them if they
This is a
throw
little
cars
weird.
across the room.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
Trademark.
That's a weird thing to say. What is that referencing?
Oh man, no, that's I just think it's bringing a lot of stuff. Where I wanted to. I might actually try some of that enamel washing on some of my one of the cars I want to make grungy, because they do this one called Streaking Grime.
You keep saying enamel. I don't even know what that is. Like,
It's just so what it is, enamel
just like
wash.
an oily wash. instead
Yeah,
of
it's an oil wash that you just pretty much, the one that they use a lot is Streaking Grime, which is essentially you just coat the whole thing in it, and then you use like not a Q-tip or like some kind of or I heard the funniest term for it, a woolly dauber. That was from a British person.
That sounds British.
It was definitely very British. But ever since I heard that, I actually heard that on the drive here today. I was listening to a YouTube video and I was like, a woolly dauber? Excuse me? I'm going to call that from now on. You do like mineral spirits, and you just kind of dab off pretty much you coat it in the enamel wash, and you can use mineral spirits to wipe it off, and it wipes off. It does a very good job of like wiping off the raised surfaces and staying in the crevices.
I mean, the thing with oils is they take so much longer to dry, so you can do all sorts of stuff with them. Mm-hmm. Whereas acrylics, like as soon as you put down a layer, you're on the clock.
And the Shrieking Grime in particular looks really good. Like I was looking at it for a Death Guard army in 40K, but I was thinking for cars it would be cool too if I took especially something like one of the big boxy ones, you know.
So is a woolly dauber like its own unique thing, or is that just what they call a Q-tip?
It's I guess the same thing, like the craft version of a Q-tip kind of thing.
Sounds like something you need to be careful Googling.
Yeah.
Eric says he's got a binder of a lot of heavy metal painting articles.
Yeah, those are fun. I love going back and reading those old White Dwarves and those old painting guides and stuff like that. Those are really fun. I mean that's the thing. It's like that's how when I saw those old paint jobs, like that was to me the pinnacle, you know. And nowadays you look at it and it's like a lifetime. It literally was a lifetime ago for us. And those paint jobs, like you see stuff today and it's just mind blowing. Like people, like there are people that just started painting last month that could do like White Dwarf style.
Oh my
stuff.
god! You know, like I was thinking about that. There was some person I was looking. I don't remember what I was looking for. Something for inspiration. I stumbled across this absolutely amazing painter. whose work was just incredible. And I go to follow them, and it instead of just follow, it's follow back. This person's already following me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm like, why didn't I follow back like immediately with somebody this talented whose stuff I obviously like? And so I go and scroll back, and they've only been on Instagram since like 2018.
Oh, they're just
And
incredible.
yeah, and the stuff that they were painting when they followed me way back when it was all just contrast washes. Like that's it.
Wow.
So the early gallery.
And that's how fast they got.
Yeah,
good.
like 3 years ago, it's just contrast washes on like zombicide miniatures. So of course I was like, I don't need, this isn't interesting enough to be on my feed.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And since then they're just like whoever this person is.
They're like, I'm now a commission painter.
Right, exactly.
For
exactly.
multiple game companies.
And it's like, how dare you?
People just
how dare you?
There's so many resources out there right now
quickly.
that you can get better at this hobby. And the fun thing is, you could be like these people and get better at this hobby, or you could be like me and stay bad at it and still be fine. And and it's fine. The thing is, I'm not great, but there's so many cool tools that I can use to just make my basic stuff look good enough for me, So I think we've definitely brought this up before. There may be new people here for NordCon, but essentially, like, Ben is the high quality commission painter. I'm the table ready guy. Like, that's just our levels of painting. Like, that's where I like to land. But
there's still a lot of like high level guys out there that I can't even get anywhere near. But yeah,
but there's like levels to it. You don't have to be like
right.
I'm gonna be a pro at wet blending and gradients and stuff, but I'm pretty like mediocre, but I still like to use my airbrush and do some fun stuff with that. And there's tools that make stuff go faster. We did that one car a few weeks ago with just contrast paints, and that took us less than an hour to finish a whole car pretty much.
I'm glad you finally got to do that, because I've been talking a lot about the contrast paints and wanting to get those.
Yeah, they're fun.
We do have a question from chat.
Yeah, please.
Are palettes not in the budget?
Ben doesn't use palettes. That's just that's his style.
This is my palette.
We have tried
it is in the
a long time. It's definitely in the budget. His
we got him a wet palette even one time, and
I keep forgetting to bring it in. There are times when I do use the wet palette, and I'm when I get back to painting Fusion, I'm gonna wish that I'd brought it, because what I find it most helpful for is freehanding. But when I'm just doing like overall painting, I don't know why I don't really need it.
It's because you've been painting for such a long time that you just got.
It's just my habit.
Yeah.
It just feels weird to go to the wet palette. I've tried to use it a bunch of times, especially recently.
It's fine.
I've just never gotten into the habit of it.
I will continually bring it up, but it's because it's funny to me. But it's not. It's totally. I completely don't mistake the fact that I make fun of you for it, for me not understanding it completely. Because I totally get it.
I'm about to try to paint some little checkers on these rockets.
Ooh,
Chad also wants to know what Ben recommends for the bottom of models. Do you mean, Chad? Do you mean how to paint the bottom of them, or how to hold them?
Well, his holding mechanism is really pretty unique. He's got these bases. I think those are like old War Machine bases or something. And then he's got thumbtacks.
All over, actually.
From what was it?
All over.
Yeah, I just happened to see the one in the purple car. Yeah, it's just junk bases that he has, and he has thumbtacks on them, and he's using the thumbtacks to kind of hold the minis, which is perfect for Car Wars because there's already holes in the bottom of them.
Right, and you can glue it in if you
just do like a dot of super glue, it's not going to hold it hard enough to where you're going to
you'll snap it loose. There'll probably still be a little bit of glue left over, but nobody will ever see it.
If you're talking painting the bottom, I can't imagine a detailed bottom on these cars. They're going to be on bases.
Yeah, I would just do black.
It's a shadow. Just make it black.
Black, some other dark color, just to.
Unless you just like really want to be the coolest guy ever and have people when they flip over the car, like see stuff. The only time when you ever really need to worry about painting the underside of stuff is if you're going to enter competitions, because the judges will absolutely flip your model over and like peer at every surface.
Well, it's one of those things. Competitions are always run now off rubrics, and it's very much like you can do a good model, but they have stuff that they're checking for. It's like, did this person do a freehand? Did this person do a conversion on the model? Did this person is paint applied to every spot of the model? Is anything left black essentially? So in that case, I guess freehand a suspension on the bottom of the car. But
it still has to be good. You don't want it there just because it's there.
But other than that, I'd say black.
Focus on what you're actually going to see.
Yeah, that's kind of
using the
exactly.
piece.
That's pretty much exactly it. I can't wait. Whenever we get our double aces, which I don't know when we're gonna get them, but
We're not covering up
I'm gonna
everything
finally
with
bust out that
everything.
turbo dork paint we got recently, and use some of those colors. I want to do a color shifting car, for sure.
So I hope everybody can see this. You want to do checkers, you start with a grid, and then you just go and fill them in. Now, if you want to do truly perfect checkers, you actually have to draw the squares individually, right? Because
God. What a
that's the only way to
nightmare.
make sure that the squares are all equal sizes.
It's hurting
But
my...
for pretty much all, your day-to-day tabletop use, like this should be fine. This should be just fine.
This man's freehanded.
But it's a little tricky
checkers
it can be a little tricky to get it around an edge like that, a round object.
Zoom in. I don't know if we can zoom in that far. We can probably try putting it on the rotator.
Yeah, we'll throw it up
afterwards.
here on the. We have a glam cam over here that we'll throw it on in a bit. So you'll get a chance to see it up close.
I don't know how much
Try
closer we
again.
can get on the top shot and still keep bending the frame. So
Yeah. No, it's fine. You'll
Fortunately-
definitely get to see a shot of it.
This rocket has a line at the tip of the nose, sort of, so
Yeah, we're good.
that is what I'm using to try to keep everything parallel. The trickiest thing with checkers, once you got the whole straight line thing down, I can paint a straight line so I can do these, it's still really easy to get the spacing wrong, to actually not have the lines run parallel the way you want them to. They can be pretty tricky.
Ben's also a cheater because he has years of experience with orcs in 40K. So I know he's painted these checkers before.
I have, yeah.
He's like, oh no, just picking up the brush and just throwing on some checkers
Hey
here.
man, there's no such thing as cheating. There's just results.
Exactly.
There you go. Thank you, Brandon.
I was like, missiles with yellow ends and checker patterns. I think I've seen this before.
I'll use every trick that I can learn to make something look good.
Yeah, no. You're talking to somebody who wants to shorten his painting procedure as much as possible, so I understand. One of my friends is finishing up an army in Warhammer and was talking about how it's not finishing. It's his first time painting, really. He does a great job, actually.
Has he been using the contrast paints?
He has not really. He's actually been not using contrast paints. He does some, but not a lot, not all of them. But he was talking about how long it's taken him to paint and stuff like that, and I was trying to help him shorten his painting procedure because to bring it down to like not bring down his quality, but like see what he actually needs and what he doesn't. Because obviously so like Ben, when he's painting something, he probably wants to get something done, but also he wants to get it done really well. So time is probably a little bit less of a concern because I've seen you go. We've been working on these cars for a little while too. So you have no qualms with like being able to put down and pick up a project like that. But some people, they lose motivation, I feel like.
Yeah, it can be hard.
So it sounded like he was losing motivation, so I was trying to say, okay, so put your mini on a table, and you can do this with Car Wars for sure. If you're having a hard time, like you're like, oh, this mini took, like in his case, a unit took like 15 hours or something like that. And I was like, so put your stuff on a table, look at it from about 5 feet away, and see what you're actually seeing on it, like what spots are sticking out, and then pick the mini up and put it up close to your face, and see where you're spending time, and if you can cut some of those steps because you're not really seeing that on the table necessarily, like
That's good advice.
details that you're not necessarily, because he was saying he was using like 15 paint, or like he was using over 10 paints on the models and all the stuff, and I was like, I think you can cut it back. I think there's space here.
Probably good to start off because you're learning. You don't really know what you're doing, but
I was really bad about that in the past. That's the reason I was saying that to him, is because I've come from that. I used to paint a lot. I'd say there's like a V1 me and a V2 me, and I'm in like V2 right now.
yeah, same here. You definitely have to decide like what level of quality am I going for here. If it's just for the tabletop, you don't want to look at it close up.
Yeah, and if you're
and it's also what kind of scale of game are you playing? Because with Car Wars, you can you can spend a really long time on just like 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah.
And those are going to be what you play with most of the time versus like other tabletop games where you have like a full army.
exactly.
You cannot put as much time into each one of those little guys.
That's a
as you
big
can.
benefit of Car Wars. I'm going to be able to spend a lot more time on one car. That'll be fine
Yeah.
because I don't mind that. If I'm trying to, I know someone on, actually a couple people on Twitter have been sharing with us their car collections and kind of going through them really fast.
Right? You're not doing a squad of cars.
Well, that person
Right.
he's painting every car in the game, but he's painting them really fast, and they're to really good quality. I think they're not like Benz cars necessarily, but they're absolutely tabletop quality. They look great, and like he's doing like the guy posting them is posting probably like 5 every few days, you know. And I think that's a good pace. Like that, if you're trying to get something right for a game. Again, if you're Ben and you're wanting to paint like something really nice to post on Instagram and that's going to be very high quality, or maybe even a commission paint job in your case, then you probably spend more time, the 15 hours in a model or more.
It can also take a while to figure out that you don't have to spend 15 hours doing these things.
Yeah.
You know? Because if
Yeah.
you're always on Instagram and looking at these close-ups of this amazing work, and you don't necessarily have to shoot for that.
It depends on again, it all comes down to are you painting to paint and to do like the highest quality mini and not care about the game, or are you painting to get stuff on a table to play with it? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
So I don't know. You guys might have missed that just then, but I accidentally got a big clump over here and had to smear it off with my finger because I was painting. One of the big reasons that happens is because you paint wet on top of something that's like almost dry, and you end up pushing that dry surface of paint into a big clump, and then you just gotta smear it off.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I mean, it depends on the color and the surface, but your brush can be an eraser in a pinch. And same with your finger. But if
Time it seemed like finger was the
finger works
was
too.
was
Like
needed.
if your paint's thin enough, your finger works fine. If it's just a little damp, but if you're like I've done that a lot where I'll be doing like little green dots on my Necrons or something like that, and then I'll just flat out miss a dot, like I'll just miss his eye, and I'll have to I'll just go to the water real fast with my brush and just it's eraser.
Really, you don't just leave it for character?
I want my eyes to be. I don't do pupils, but I will do dots on the eyes, and I want those straight. I don't even do dots on the eyes in a lot of cases. I do like.
You want one pointing up to the sky and one over off to the left?
I don't do. I do
Nobody's
not.
gonna sneak up on this guy.
So Necrons I'll do because they're just green. That's it. Anything that has just a solid color eye. So if you have like red eyes, green eyes, white, like kind of powered up eyes or something like that, I'll do it. If you don't, if you have eyes, what you have is some kind of a wash. You have some kind of wash, because if I'm looking across like 10 feet away from someone, I'm probably not seeing the whites of their eyes that closely. So I'm just like, yeah, it's a wash. You get a wash.
Yeah, for tabletop, I don't even bother with eyes.
No, same here. Yeah.
I just put maybe a little wash in there real quick to kind of give it a little bit of depth, and then move on.
Anytime I'm building something like an army or something like that, and it's like, would you like this characterful like human head with cool flowing hair and open eyes, or do you want this helmet? I'm like, give me the helmet. Hand me that helmet. Technically, they're on a battlefield, and while that cool head looks cooler, it means I don't have to paint eyes, and also they should be wearing their helmet out there. I'm just saying.
Got a couple questions from chat.
Yeah, what's up?
Vulcan Knuckles asks, "Is that Averland Sunset?"
Oh,
I believe
they missed that. They missed the Averland Sunset review, which is
There's a whole discussion.
it's
on it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a great color. I actually forgot to mention, if you're interested in that color, there's this is maybe apropos of nothing. I don't know if it's still available, but that's one of the colors they generally put in the. You'd have to check it, but they do that in a lot of the GW starter sets. And I used to
be a really great deal.
Yeah, and I used to ignore those sets because I was like, I don't generally. We talked about this in the past, like recommending or not recommending paint starter sets. And generally, it's like, probably get your paints individually and ignore the starter sets. But some of those sets, the GW ones now, are a little bit better because they're black. They have black, white, a good wash, and Everland Sunsets in there, and their Mephiston Reds in there, which is really good. Another cool catch is if you check out Barnes and Noble sometimes, which we have games in there too, so check our games out. But they frequently have paint sets for Blitz Bowl and stuff like that, and sometimes they're on discount. And if you can find a Citadel paint set on discount, absolutely worth it.
I think I ended up buying one because it was one of those weird sets that also had a pair of clippers.
Clippers,
in it,
yeah.
And nobody had like
They're not
little
great clippers, but
in
hey,
the
they're
store,
clippers.
and I needed clippers.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're fine.
I picked up two of them. I picked up the Blitzpulse paint set and another. I think it was a Shade Spire. No, it was a board game paint set, but it was the same thing. It was like they were both GW paint sets, and they were like $15 for 10 paints. That's a great deal.
Another question is, Ben, it looks like you're painting directly out of pots. No thinning?
If I'm thinning, I'm just gonna get a little bit of water out of the cup that's off camera, and just
Which is what he's doing
get it
now.
get it onto this hand palette here.
His hand palette is his wet palette.
Yep.
He is not afraid to get it wet.
Nope.
So he does thin slightly, but he does pull straight from the pot. Don't worry, folks. We've talked a bit about it.
And sometimes I'll go in there and I'll just add some water directly into the pot if they start to seem like they're getting a little dry.
He is unconventional, but it works.
Are you sure? How do you know all the great painters don't use hand palettes?
I think Da Vinci used a hand palette.
Definitely.
That's where his nickname "Old Hand Palette Da Vinci" came from. It's a very specific nickname.
That was one of his first inventions.
The hand palette. Da Vinci, that's just your hand. And this is the Stiletto? Is that right?
Yeah, this is Stiletto.
I like that car a lot.
I think this to me always feels, and this is kind of how I painted the studio one. It feels like a superhero / supervillain car. And I think the almost like comic. I don't know what guns these are in game, but to me they almost look like they're gonna shoot Spider-Man webs or something. Like now that I've got it,
And you got
red,
it
I
red
did
too.
have this red and blue color on it without even thinking about it. And now these are making me think of like web shooters.
That's
but I
funny.
don't know what that weapon actually is. But for the official one, he almost has like icicle spikes because he's like blue with white jagged lines. But yeah, this car is like I think of the characters of the drivers when I think of the cars a lot, and this is definitely a car driven by like a showman. This is not like a car driven by some like rough and grizzled dude in off the wastelands who's like needs to make some creds to have enough food to live. Like this is like
Well, it says those
This
are
is like a-
shotguns.
they're just shotguns.
Shock.
Oh, shotguns.
Shotguns.
Okay. Well, there you go. Like he calls himself the Shocker or something, right? Very, very superhero.
And
/
Shocker is
villainy.
a Spider-Man bad guy.
Oh, that's right. It is. He is, isn't he?
The Shocker.
This, one electric themed villain wasn't enough for Spider-Man. He needed another one.
So we got a couple more questions in chat. One is, any plans on releasing battle damaged cars or painting in battle damage? We do have a set of Rex models that are.
There are rec tokens that that was available.
What did you do with the Apollo that we had too? Because he was very battle damaged.
We showed him on stream. So,
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, we were playing with him.
But yeah, Ben paints some in. We've got some that they are sculpted as ruined wrecked models.
Yeah, which he has painted. We'll show those sometime.
And those are fun because you can pop them on the base whenever a car gets wrecked, and then it stays.
There are
in the
also
arena
cardboard
as they
rec
wreck.
tokens if
Yeah,
you don't have the rec tokens. but
Right.
yeah.
Also, do you varnish your models? I feel like those will be getting moved around enough for it to be worth it.
I personally matte varnish models, and when I get my cars, I will matte varnish them. I don't know if Ben has done that with these. I don't believe they have.
Not with these, but with the other studio ones. Part of the reason why matte varnishes are important, even if you're not really gonna get your fingers on them that much, is because every paint has kind of like a different glossiness, a different sort of reflectivity. So like this red, especially now that's been highlighted by a light pink, is very matte, doesn't really reflect a lot of light. But some of the black and the recesses is a lot more shiny. I don't know, maybe you can see it a little bit as I move it
We'll get it in the
around,
close
see
up,
like a
'cause we'll-
shiny reflection. And so when you are finished with the car and you do that matte varnish, it turns all the gloss into like the same reflectivity, and it just makes the car look much more cohesive. And it's particularly important with stuff like, I mean, for me anyway, with stuff like having the shade color be so shiny and reflective, like it really bothers me. But I like how the wash that I used works well enough that I will take the time to varnish it later to get rid of that glossiness rather than just like try to use a more matte black paint. But even if not, like it helps to keep just everything at the same level of sort of shininess or reflectivity, whatever you want to call it.
You made me love varnishes actually, because I never used varnishes before, but I've always had the what I've personally called acid fingers. I don't know what it
Oh.
is, but like I use, I'm one of those guys like I use a piece of equipment too long, like you could see the finger grooves on my like keyboard or something like that,
Yikes.
So I'm always worried about minis, so I've been matte varnishing everything, and I ended up at first I was like I don't know if I like the effect, and now I love the effect.
I didn't for years, just because you have to to buy a good brand, and the only two brands I really trust are Testers and Tamiya. Um, and I still would rather say Testers or Model Master over Tamiya, at least for the varnish, because Tamiya I feel like I've had a little bit of dulling of the color sometimes.
So the Testers is dull coat for
Yeah,
people
Testers
that are,
dull coat.
and it's one of the more popular ones. I used Testers dull coat. I switched because I'd heard that they were not continuing it, but then I think they still ended up continuing it. But I use a Winsor Newton matte
Oh, really?
varnish. It's really good. I like it a lot.
Maybe I'll try that one of these days.
Yeah, it's super matte. It's very cool. It's also a bigger can, which is nice. I can keep it around longer. It's like 12. It's like 10 or 12 bucks a can, but it lasts for a good amount.
But even with the best varnishes, matte or otherwise, you can still really ruin your paint job if you spray on a really humid day, particularly a hot and humid day, because water molecules from that high humidity will get into that spray as it goes in there, and it'll make it very clumpy and uneven.
Sometimes even like crystally or
Yeah.
cloudy.
And I had only really experienced sprays doing that. Probably part of that was growing up in Houston as well, because it's like always hot and humid
Ditto.
in
I was
Houston.
about 20 minutes outside of Houston. So.
Yeah, Austin is a little bit better. It's hot, but it's often hot and dry, and especially at night, once temperatures drop like about 10 degrees on a dry night, you can usually get some really good varnishing done here.
Yeah.
And the spray underneath, a primer, that can also be really bad if you're not spraying in the right conditions, because it'll get really clumpy.
Yeah, those are the two biggest. Pretty much the first and the last steps are the ones that are gonna be the biggest problems. Anything that you have to spray outside. That's actually why I got the airbrushes, so I could prime indoors, because I was having so many issues where like I just couldn't find, like especially in Austin, it was like, cool, it's either absolutely too cold to do this, or it's so hot that it's impossible to do this. One thing is, if you do it in small batches and you're coming for, and you have like say like 5 guys you want to varnish or prime or whatever the case may be, keep your can at room temperature, and then just shake it up inside, and then go outside and just do those 5 and come back in. You might be okay there, because it doesn't give the can enough time to like heat up or anything like that, especially if you stay in the shade.
Interesting.
And you don't want to, like, again, you don't want to sit out there and, like, what I used to do is I'd have a whole like army ready to go, and I'd take it out of a box and I'd just be like going back and forth, and eventually like three units in, I'm suddenly like getting bad results, and it's like, what's my problem? Well, it's probably because you decide to prime and it's 97 degrees outside and 95% humidity.
Well, it's also just really hard to get in coverage when you're doing that, because like the guys on the outside are going to end up with more on them. The guys way in the middle.
Well,
Unless you're
we
just
had a
like
pretty
go out
big,
on your
we
porch
had
and
a
like
pretty
set up a
big
whole
setup.
line.
We had
Oh,
we had
okay.
like a gigantic thing outside to do, but it was still
It
too
gets
hot.
so hot here that the paint will literally dry on its way out
Yep.
before it
Yeah.
hits the model, and then they get all gritty.
Yeah.
But yes, but again, if you keep it
And
at
that's,
room temperature, you should be okay for like a short period of time if you need to get something done.
That's a weird thing. I actually break the rule that a lot of people say about like standing like 3 feet away. I will literally blast like 3 to 6 inches away. But the trick is you never stop moving the can. You never just like
I
hold it
always do
still.
this,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
always back and forth, but like within like literally inches of the thing you're trying to spray, just to keep it from. That's how you keep it from getting that gritty.
I'm off camera, but this is how far away I am when I do spray priming and varnishing. I'm holding a box, my model's in here, and I'm I'm here. Like
I
that's
get
it.
even closer. I'll just get right
About
up on
about
that.
18 inches or so.
Like it's probably like 12 inches, and then it's probably even like closer because then I'll get in there. But again, you just keep the thing moving and you're good. I've only had one batch of all the stuff that I've varnished with that matte varnish. I've had one like unit of 5 guys that came back bad. That had like small crystallization, but it was due to the weather, not the stuff. So, you want to throw that one up on the Glam Cam for a sec?
Yeah, I think so.
Give
I was
people a close up
gonna
of the
peek at
eSIMs.
Fusion for a while.
There we
Try
go.
to figure out how
Oh,
to
yeah.
turn.
Those rockets look good, man.
Thank you.
I love that color.
I feel like he needs some freehanding on the hood, and then maybe I should do some of the same kind of heads-up display, targeting reticle things on the windshield.
The targeting reticle idea is a really cool idea. I might steal that for one of mine.
How dare you?
I mean, I may invent it.
That's illegal.
And call it
Stealing's
mine.
illegal, Hunter.
Not
This
in
is
Car
basic.
Wars,
This
baby.
Is not something
You're
you should
supposed to
not
say
know
I'm going to
at
be
your age.
heavily inspired.
I'm going to be
by
heavily
Hunter.
inspired by
Oh,
Ben's.
thank you. I'm so flattered. Please, by all means.
See how
Let me
different that
inspire
works?
you.
Sure. I'm going to call the technique the Hunter.
Wait a minute. Rewind the tape. This is not. I'm not okay.
Watch
with
Ben
this
as he shows us how to do the hunter. We have a question if there's going to be any painting examples or recommendations and any upcoming.
In the new vehicle guide.
In the vehicle guide is the specific question here, but just in general.
I mean, the stuff Ben has painted is used on like the product itself. So there's no like painting guide that we've done so far other than our videos, which are on YouTube still. So if you want to check back on some of those, we kind of keep those archived.
It's definitely something we've talked about a lot.
We definitely have talked about stuff, but there's not like a physically printed one. However, if you want to see some of the stuff he's painted and get like inspiration or ideas from that, he is the guy who painted our office models, the ones that are done for our production. So
Yeah, if you look on the outside of the boxes.
on the boxes, the rules, there is artwork in each of the entries on the vehicle guide. We showed a sneak peek of it on the stream before, but there are entries on each of them, and the art that I believe you based all your paint jobs off of the
I
art,
did
right?
Not at all.
You're not. Okay, I'm an idiot.
No one told me there was art, and then when I was like, "Why didn't you tell me there was art?" Phil was like, "We actually wanted them to be different."
Oh,
so
there you go.
I didn't see the point.
Well, that gives you some other options though. So you can see his physical stuff. You can also take inspiration from the official Car Wars art from the book, and each of the entries has its own art. Each car in the vehicle guide is 2 pages, so one page has the art and like kind of a backstory to the car, like the overall theme, and then the other page has all the actual equipment and where to pull it from. So Ben, we're entering the last, like, we're past 3 here. So
Oh, we are.
We
Wow.
have a little bit of time to wrap up though. So no big deal. The next one starts at 3:30. Is that right?
Wow, that went so fast.
Yeah, it did go fast. But so you have about 15 minutes to like wrap it up. No, so not a
Okay.
super big rush. But
Well,
wanted
I just realized I started off thinking I was going to finish the Cthulhu car, and then I got so into
you
Stiletto.
want the Stiletto. I like
which is
Stiletto though.
fine.
It's fine. They're all going to end up finished at some point anyway. We'll probably use them in a game after that. That's kind of the idea. I wouldn't mind even seeing how the varnish takes to them because we didn't really varnish the other ones. So, and these aren't our studio models anymore. These are just cars, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we can do whatever we want. Could even throw it across the room.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this
That's a really
already, but
weird
this is
thing to say, Hunter.
part of NordCon.
Yep, he mentioned it at the beginning. Yeah,
Okay,
it
good.
was a for NordCon. So yeah, we're doing our for NordCon stuff. If you haven't checked it out, if you are over here from NordCon, welcome. That's awesome. If you haven't checked out for NordCon, it's been going on since last night. We've had a few panels. We're going to be having most of our stuff is done on Discord, but we have the Car Wars stuff done here. So we had our previous playthrough, which will be archived on YouTube. This, obviously, which will also be archived on YouTube. And tomorrow we'll have another Car Wars stream. But we have a lot of other cool stuff going on. We've got the Munchkin stream is coming up, or not stream, excuse me, the Munchkin panel with Q&A. So they're going to be talking about upcoming Munchkin products. This is Will Schoonover and Devin Lewis, our Munchkin design and development team. They're going to be talking about a lot of upcoming stuff. We kind of touched on it last night in the What's New panel with Phil and Steve, but they're going to go into it a little more in depth. They'll give you some Q&A time, maybe even some other stuff that we didn't really talk about in depth because it's so early on in development. But we announced a lot of new cool Munchkin stuff, Munchkin Babies, which is I think the last set that Andrew Hackard worked on, so we're really excited about getting that out there. There's a lot of small expansions like what was it? Turtle Carnage,
Goats,
Petting
Bosses.
Zoo, and Bosses,
Yeah.
and a new Munchkin Warhammer 40k expansion.
Ooh, which one is that?
I think
Can we say?
Vile.
Can you tell me?
We showed a image
Was
of
it Vile
Oh, we
and
did,
something or?
Vicious and Vile?
No, it's Rank and Vile.
Vile.
There we
Rank and
go.
Vile, there you
Rank
go.
and Vile. I've heard the name so much it's lost all meaning because
Yeah.
I've heard about that product for a while.
So they're coming up at 3:30, which is in about
so
25 minutes here.
They'll be talking about that, and then a really fun one, another Munchkin themed one. We're gonna have Katie Cook at 5.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Katie is gonna be, and she's gonna be, I think, doing live art or something of that sort, and doing
That's
some.
pretty awesome.
There's some stuff she's signing to do as a contest as well. We sent her a bunch of cool Munchkin gear to run a contest with. So
I know you guys are all going to want to ask her questions about the MLP comic and all that stuff, all the other cool stuff she does, but stick to Munchkin, guys. No, not really.
Ben,
I'm sure,
Ben has artistic.
I'm sure you can ask her whatever you want.
Yeah, you can talk about whatever with her. Katie's awesome. She's
But
done.
she has a huge career. Like when
Her webcomic's super popular.
I colored some of the Munchkin sets that she's did.
Spell School.
No, I didn't do Spell School. I did Cthulhu and the Cthulhu Guest Artist Edition and the Oz Guest Artist Edition
Yeah.
that she worked on. And so I just did a little Googling to see like how, maybe she colored her own art, how maybe some other colorists had colored her art. And I was just kind of amazed at all the stuff that she's done.
She's done tons of stuff.
Particularly,
A
like,
lot of great comic stuff.
Writing some of the My Little Pony comics, which was interesting. Because, going in thinking of her as a cartoonist to find out that she's also written stuff was pretty cool.
Yeah. She's
And
a
then, on
multi-talented.
Sunday, we've got at 11 Central Standard Time because,
Yeah, the
because
clock-
we switch.
Oh,
the
man.
clock switches tonight.
So
We're
not
back
only
in
am I going to be up late probably again, I'm
You
going to
can-
lose an hour
No,
somewhere
no,
in the midst of that.
You gain an hour.
No, we fall back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
So-
we gain the hour.
Yeah, you get it to 2 and you
This
go
is
back
the
to 1
time I
o'clock.
actually like.
Yeah, this is the good one.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank God. Sweet.
But so at 11
I can stay
o'clock
up even later.
Central Standard Time, we will be doing a panel on how to write for SJGames role-playing games.
Ooh, that's
Panel.
fun. That's fun.
And then at 1 o'clock, we have the
Is that
Illuminati.
Douglas Cole doing that one?
That is going to be Sean
really-
Punch,
oh,
Peter
Sean-
Von Kleinsmith, and Douglas Cole.
Oh, I didn't know all three.
So-
That's cool.
Yeah, all 3. Then at 1 o'clock, we have Illuminati Confirmed preview with Derek Piercy going
Yep,
into
that was the
more of that.
Kickstarter that ran for essentially the Illuminati card game done in a digital format.
In digital
Some
format.
modifications, some new stuff, which is
So he's
pretty
going to
cool.
go into that. And then at 2:30, we have the 4-player Car Wars matchup on the big double-barreled map,
Double drum.
double drum map.
It looks great. Ben did the mat, so we get to play on his mat.
That's cool. I have to see it before I leave. 'cause
Yeah, we'll show it
I've
to you.
only seen it as a graphic on a screen. Especially
We'll show it to you. We
something
won't show the
that
people on
big.
stream.
It'll go.
Something
we'll-
that big.
but it's got to go on the table here. So once you clear your stuff off,
We'll
we'll
pull
go
it
and
in,
put it
yeah.
on there.
Let you know.
Do I have to clean up after myself?
do.
That's the worst part of being-
Yeah. Just get your baby to do it for you. Why aren't you? You're not doing this fatherhood stuff right, man. You gotta.
That's fun. It's funny that you mentioned daylight savings time and then the baby because he like something about it last Saturday night. He was being really difficult, and at some point during Sunday, I was like, "Oh, it's because daylight savings time." So we were like an hour behind feeding him. Like, no, that's actually this weekend. He was being extra difficult for no good reason at all.
Other than just being
I
a
love
baby.
it. I love
Yeah, other
that
than he's a
the
baby.
baby is
He is a
gaslighting
baby.
you. You're like, no, I'm the problem. I'm
Yeah.
being an issue. It's like,
How-
wait a second. No,
I
the thing
forgot
that's
about
crying at me.
daylight savings time, and I forgot to feed the kid at the right hour. Oh no!
The baby
I'm a
is screwed
terrible
with you
parent.
all.
No, it's just the baby being a baby, doing what babies do.
Dang, baby.
All right, let's get
Let's get the Glam Cam of both
yeah,
of
let's
them. Why
get
not?
fusion on. Okay, sure.
Let's throw them both up. I don't want to lose Stiletto. So this is our freehand. What did you just do on this one? So
It's mostly still just the octopus Cthulhu head,
still working on that freehand.
but I put in some of the backgrounds. So if you look, you can start to see him forming some wings behind
Oh, yeah.
him and the bulk of his Cthulhu, that Cthulhu body.
Nice.
So it's more Cthulhu than just octopus. And I don't know, like I like the way his eyes look, but they're kind of adorable.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do we want a silly, adorable Cthulhu, or do we want a more traditional, menacing, big, angry Cthulhu?
No, it's sponsored by Cute Cthulhu.
Sponsored by. I mean, we do cute Cthulhu stuff. We have.
That's what I'm
Chibi
saying.
Cthulhu.
That's what I thought we were basing it on. I thought we were doing
We have
cute.
Katie's Munchkin guest artist edition.
Even Cthulhu dice isn't that aggressive. It's just kind of
No.
like it's a little mean, but not like super.
He's a lot more sinister though than this little guy.
Chibi
Just
Cthulhu's.
get a little bit of black points on the eyes. It'll diminish right in there. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. So
Or I
yeah.
could give him a nice curly mustache, and then everyone will know how evil he is.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
Hang on a second. I don't
Awesome.
think I like this stereotype anymore.
Well, Jimmy, do you have any other comments in chat or questions?
No, we've been keeping up with it. People say
Also, you
great
could do-
work.
you
They
could
like
do an
Ben's
awful
work.
green things car, right?
I just noticed you were wearing that shirt. That'd be
Yeah,
sick.
To do an awful green car.
I did see someone. People have been posting a lot of their paint jobs up on the Facebook groups and in the
Yes.
unofficial Discords.
It's been great.
Someone took Pillbug and painted it with a design inspired by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles van.
That's so cool.
It looked really cool.
I
Like,
will,
it
so
was,
hey,
it was
make
done really
sure.
well.
And that's great because we definitely cannot do any licensed stuff.
Yes,
on
unless it's
own
our
paint job.
license.
But you can, and you can put that mess all
Unfortunately, no
over Instagram.
Scooby Doo van for us.
Yeah, we can't do that, but you can.
I can
put it
do
everywhere.
mystery children van. legally distinct. The legally distinct.
The Spirit Halloween version.
Famous inquiring
The,
dog.
the legally distinct investigative
dog.
teens with inquiry dog. And his notable catchphrase, woof. Anyway, yeah, thanks for doing this, but this was a lot of fun. What I wanted to say to, when you were talking about people posting stuff on, please tag us. Let us know. I love sharing that stuff. It's really fun. I try to be on Instagram a little bit more to share some of those to our stories and whatnot, and obviously share them on Twitter.
Oh yeah, we got to take pictures of
Facebook
these.
and whatnot,
I've
so-
run off with them a couple times before
We love doing that.
pictures.
Yeah, we'll grab some pictures. Share this. I'll share this on Instagram as well because I love sharing your cars as we get progress on them.
Yep.
And guys, enjoy the rest of FenorCon. We have a lot more stuff planned, more Car Wars tomorrow, but stay tuned on the Discord for even more Munchkin this afternoon and evening. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Yep.
In the-
We'll see you guys later.
All right. See you all later. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for coming.